Good evening. It's soon 6 p.m. Let's read some more before I start to get tired. 6 p.m. I'd like to read about this model A, B, and E. Then I will make a video in my language Danish after I finish.
Wright Modeler. The Wright Modeler was an early aircraft produced by the Wright brothers in the United States beginning in 1906. It was a development of their Flyer 3 airplane of 1905. The Wrights built about 7 modelers in their bicycle shop during the period 1906-1907, in which they did no flying. One of these was shipped to Le Havre in 1907 in order to demonstrate it to the French. The modeler had a 35 horsepower, 26 kilowatts, engine and seating for 2 with a new control arrangement. Otherwise, it was identical to the 1905 airplane. The modeler was the first aircraft that they offered for sale, and the first aircraft designed to enter serial production anywhere in the world. Apart from the 7 machines the Wrights built themselves in 1906-1907, they sold licenses for production in Europe, with the largest number of Model A's actually being produced in Germany by Flugmaskin Wright GmbH, which built about 60 examples. The 1909 military flyer was a one-of-a-kind modeler built by the Wright brothers. With wings shortened 2 feet, higher skid undercarriage and the same engine salvaged from the 1908 Wright military flyer wrecked at Fort Myer, it differed from the standard Wrighter in size and had a faster speed. The aircraft was demonstrated at Fort Myer, Virginia, beginning the 28th of June, 1909 for the Aeronautical Division of the U.S. Army Signal Corps, which offered a contract of $25,000, $847,778 in 2022, for an aircraft capable of flying at 40 miles per hour, 64 kilometers per hour, with 2 people on board, and a distance of 125 miles, 201 kilometers. After rigorous trials, the Signal Corps accepted the airplane as Signal Corps, SC, number 1, the 2nd of August, 1909, and paid the brothers $30,000, $1,017,333 in 2022 US dollars. Designation, edit. The aircraft were not referred to as modeler by the Wrights, but the term was likely created by the U.S. Army after purchasing a flyer of 1909 and purchasing later Model BS. At different times prior to 1909 the aircraft were called the following: Wilbur Wright Machine, Wright 1905 Flyer, and by later surviving Wright pilots and personnel twin-propellered Wright with head, the head referring to the front elevator. As more Wright models were built after 1910, their natural designations became B, C, D etc. to differentiate one model from the other. Later aviation historians and biographers continued with modeler in providing a chronological timeline for each of the different model of Wright aircraft. Individual control arrangement, edit. Wilbur and Orville Wright devised slightly different flight controls in the modeler airplanes they flew separately in France and the United States for their 1908 and 1909 public demonstrations. The Smithsonian Institution's National Air and Space Museum refers to the Wilbur method and the Orville method. In the Wilbur method, the roll and yaw controls were combined on the same lever at the pilot's right hand. A forward-backward movement controlled the rudder, while a sideways or left and right motion controlled wing warping. In the Orville method, moving the stick controlled wing warping, while a knob atop the stick controlled the rudder. In both methods the left-hand lever operated the forward elevator to control pitch. Wilbur trained French and Italian pilots using his method, and Orville trained German pilots while in Germany in 1909 for the Wright GmbH, as well as American pilots at the Wright Company Flight School using his method. Survivors, edit. One Wright Flyer 3 was itself the prototype in 1908. Flyer 3 was restored in the late 1940s back into its original 1905 configuration. The original Wright military modeler plane, Signal Corps No. 1, is now on display at the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. SC No. 1 had been significantly modified by the addition of wheels for landing gear and the movement of the elevators, but was restored by the Wright Company to its original configuration before donation to the museum. It is displayed in much the original condition as when the Smithsonian received it in October 1911. The aircraft was displayed in the National History Museum, then protected in Luray, Virginia during World War II, and is now in the Early Flight Gallery in the Air and Space Museum. The only original standard modeler to survive, and the sole surviving original Dayton-built example, is the one Orville Wright used to demonstrate at Tempelhof, Germany, in September 1909. It resides in the Deutsches Museum, Munich. Reproductions, edit. An exact reproduction of the 1909 military flyer is on display in the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. This reproduction was constructed in 1955 by museum personnel. It is equipped with an original engine personally donated for the reproduction by Orville Wright, while the chains, sprockets, and propellers were all donated by the heirs of the Wright estate, and have been added to the replica as they have been received and restored. In 2008 Ken Hyde built an exact replica of the original 1908 Wright military flyer, which itself was one of the Dayton 7. This was for the 100th anniversary and remembrance of Orville Wright's first trip to Fort Myer and also the death of Thomas Selfridge. Hyde has said in press reports that his reproduction is flyable, but for now it will only exist in static display. Operators, edit. United States of America. 1 Aeronautical Division, U.S. Signal Corps. Specifications, Wright military flyer, edit. Data from U.S. Army aircraft 1908 to 1946. General characteristics. 1 crew, 2 length, 30 feet 8 in, 9.35 m. 3 wingspan, 36 feet 5 in, 11.10 m. 4 height, 8 feet 0 in, 2.44 m. 5 empty weight, 740 pound, 336 kilograms. 6 gross weight, 1,263 pound, 573 kilograms. 7 power plant, 1 Wright vertical 4-cylinder water-cooled inline piston engine, 35 HP, 26 kilowatts. 8 propellers, 2 blade painted spruce elliptical propellers, 8 feet 8 in, 2.64 m, diameter, 2 of, rotating in opposite directions. Performance. 1 maximum speed, 42 miles per hour, 68 kilometers per hour, 36 kn. See also, edit. Related development. 1 British Army aeroplane No. 1, designed and built by Samuel Cody, 1908. 2 1902 glider. 3 Wright Flyer. 4 Flyer 2. 5 Flyer 3. 6 Wright Model B. 7 Early flying machines. References, edit. Notes.